And quickly jumping into a live demo, I'm going to demonstrate the seamless integration with Teams and SharePoint, along with some of the following features, which are just a small subset of what is available. As Sarah mentioned, page layouts and reusable content that helps provide a structured way to keep documentation consistent. Powerful search capabilities that allow users to find content quickly and efficiently within CMS 365 and SharePoint. And version control, which ensures that team members can access and restore previous versions, enhancing reliability and audit tracking. And our Markdown editor for creating rich text documents and integrating mermaid diagrams for data visualization, along with embedding of Office files, even including loop components. So let's go ahead and take a look. So right now you're looking at the Teams environment. I have this Teams operating in the browser just because it's easier to move around, but it operates exactly the same in the Teams app as well. And here we're looking at a go-to-market team. So CMS 365 is structured the way Teams is structured, with one site per team. The content is not stored in a database. They are markdown text files that are stored within the file library of the associated SharePoint site. Markdown is like a simplified HTML or wiki markup that many social networks use for comments and content. These files can be found via SharePoint search and are accessible to Copilot. They can be edited by any Markdown or text editor, but we will be viewing them from within CMS 365's built-in editor. CMS 365 integrates within a Teams channel. Let's go take a look at how to access it and add it. So here again, we're looking at a go-to-market channel. This is where we discuss strategy for bringing our products to market. So here I've got a channel for CMS 365. So up at the top of this channel, I actually have a tab where CMS 365 has already been added. I can go ahead and access that. And see, now I'm looking at a documentation site for this particular channel, the go-to-market channel. And it is opened up in the KWIZ CMS 365 section. Let's look at one of these other sections. Notice I have a whole bunch of different sections on the top navigation. These are the tabs. When those tabs are named the same as a channel, it'll open up automatically in it. Let's go and look at our NetSuite integration. We'll pop up into CMS 365. And you'll notice I'm right away in the NetSuite integration tab. So this will happen with any of these. So going into the Marketplace tab, you'll notice I don't have CMS 365 showing here. So let's go ahead and add it. So when I click to add a tab, CMS 365 is already showing up as one of the tenant apps available to be placed. It moves in here once CMS 365 has been installed via Microsoft App Source or the SharePoint store. So it's installed there as a SharePoint app, and then it becomes available within your tenant apps in Teams. So now I go ahead and add it to this channel. I don't need to post about it. I click save. And because this actually doesn't set up the site, that site's already set up, it actually just go ahead and looks to see if there is a tab with a marketplace name, and it goes right into that section. So the same would happen with any of these. Services, CMS 365, right away into services. Let's jump over back into our CMS 365 one, and let's take a look at some of the features within Teams. So I can click the drop down here, and I can go ahead and expand this tab if I want CMS 365 to take up more screen real estate. So I can actually do some work in here. If I want to go ahead and chat about this within the same team that I'm in, I can click on the chat button, and now I am accessing the general chat area of the go-to-market team. Now, we do most of our chats within the individual channels, but this is actually good because it'll keep all of our chats about the documentation in a central area. So I can go ahead and turn that off. I can collapse the tab. Now, I normally like using CMS in the browser. It just gives me even more screen real estate, and it also lets me keep Teams to just be a communication standpoint. So within here, I can go ahead and I can open up this particular CMS 365 site in my browser. And it'll go ahead and open it up within SharePoint, and now it's taking up the entire real estate. Nice thing about this too is I can also go ahead and install this site as an app itself. I have done this for my most used areas. So I can open up the go-to-market CMS page just as an app if I want to. Let's go ahead and look at some of the different features that are available. So I want to look at page layouts and reusable content. These are really advanced features that help maintain that consistency for content. So we're going to jump over into our documentation site. And I've actually right away jumped into an actual page. So here we're on a page. Then let's go ahead and look at how this page is structured. So the page has a page title up here. It has some breadcrumb tags here that are actually hyperlinked and allow you to jump around within the hierarchy of content. At the right-hand side, it's got a last modified date, and it's got some information about the authors of that content. At the right-hand side, there is also a little floating panel that has an automatically generated table of contents. Now let's see how that is structured from a layout standpoint. So I can go ahead and I can open up the page layout settings. Right now we can see here that it is set to use whatever the default page layout is for documentation. Let's go ahead and look at those page layouts. So here's all the different page layouts. We have a default page layout for the documentation section. We have a different one for our release notes, and we have a different one for our knowledge base. Let's go ahead and open up the documentation section. Now we already looked at that page structure. I know this looks a little confusing, but it's actually really easy to figure out. You can see here, this is where that title is defined. You can click on that title. I can go ahead and edit it. I actually could change things. I could change the color. I can even change, maybe make this slightly smaller. I don't want the large headings, something like that. These are those tags that show the breadcrumb navigation. That's just a token. All these are tokens that are dynamically filled depending upon the document that you're viewing. This is the modified date that is floating over to the side, and the authors that are being put in there. This is that little component. We can see that it floats to the right of the content. This is that component that had the table of contents. And we can see here that it's designated as a zone, which means that I can go and add content into this area. Right now, there's some automatically generated content, but I can go ahead, because it's designated as a zone, I can go ahead and edit it. This is our main zone for content. And at the bottom here, we've got additional resources that are automatically supplied by CMS 365. Let's go ahead now and look at some actual reusable content. So reusable content is really useful if you have some repeated content that you use within our site. So Docs is a great example of that as well. So let's go ahead into an edit mode for this content. And let's go ahead and look at the available reusable content that I can actually do. So here, let me go to a blank space. I'm not going to save this because this is actually live documentation, but it's okay if I'm in edit mode. And let's go ahead and look at some reusable content. So we've created reusable content for release notes, a template on how to put out release notes, some links that are commonly used in some of our documentation, even a wizard on how our apps are installed. So if I wanted to actually put that into the document that I'm writing, I just put that reusable content. All this shading is telling us that this is dynamically linked to the source. So if I just leave this, then when I go and publish this document, all of this content will be there. If I go ahead and open this reusable content from the source and change it, wherever I place that reusable content, it will be automatically updated. So I can go ahead and update this video, for instance, and I don't have to go back in through all of my content and update the video. So let's get rid of some of these things, and I'll get rid of this so I don't. Anytime that you actually have made an edit and you accidentally are leaving, we detect that and we make sure that that you've got unsaved changes. But I do want to abandon those, so I'll go ahead and leave that. Now let's take a look at in-place search. There's a couple of areas that you can search. On the left-hand side, you can search categories. This is all the different hierarchical content within the documentation section. So if I wanted to look at data, right now that surfaced up datasheet view and data view plus. Now it has to show the whole hierarchy so I can get to datasheet view. I can also search from the home page, or I can search the documentation, or I have a search button up here. So let's say I'm searching for public sites. And now I can access that. So this is searching within a CMS 365. As you start typing, it's going ahead and searching all of that underlying content. The nice thing also to know is, as I mentioned, directly within SharePoint, you can search. Let's say I'm searching for CMS sales information. So this is actually the very first result is showing me a CMS page. Now, it has an internal naming, but you are seeing the information about that page. And then if I click on it, it'll jump in right to that particular page. So now I'm into a sales tip sheet on CMS 365. Let's jump over and look at version control. I'm just jumping into a demo site that we play around with. Let me go into edit mode. When I'm in edit mode, I can go ahead and look at versions. So here, because I've played around with this a lot, there is a bunch of different versions. And I can go ahead and scroll back to any of these particular versions and start editing it and whatnot. I can go ahead and look at the source control for this. So here I'm looking at this document in source mode. This is actually a great place to show the fact that this is what is called markdown text. So this is markdown. Again, just a simplified version of HTML. So this hashtag is denoting a heading 1 tag. You can actually put regular HTML in the document as well. So here I've added some styling to this YouTube video so that it is center aligned. So let's say I wanted to change that to left aligned. And it actually has intelligent code completion within the editor. So if this is being used in a technical context, you've got code completion, you've got a find and replace feature, a replace all, you've got lots of different really advanced features, especially if you're using it in a technical context. What you've also have is a diff mode. And what a diff mode is it shows you, especially if you wanted to go back and through the version control, it shows you how a document has changed. So as you can see on the right-hand side, that's where I changed that code from left to center. So the original document before I saved it was in the center. And here I changed it to left. So if I want to go and revert back, I just click that button and now it's reverted back. And now in edit mode, it actually doesn't show it centered, but when I go and save it, it'll show it in a centered form. Let's go ahead and look a little bit more closely at this markdown editor. So as you can see here, this is in the WYSIWYG form, or the what you see is what you get view. You have a editor that has all the different buttons that people are used to in terms of marking up the document. You can do this by code as well, even in this view. So if I wanted to change this heading to a heading 2, I can just put # space, and now it is a heading 2. If I wanted to make this a bullet as well, I can just add a dash in and it's now a bullet. I can go ahead and get rid of that bullet up in the editor. The other interesting thing is the inclusion of mermaid diagrams. So with mermaid diagrams, we use this to document user flows. So here, this is a mermaid diagram that shows how a user uses a particular document. This is actually fairly easy to do. What's also really cool is ChatGPT and Copilot understand Mermaid. So I can even go into ChatGPT or Copilot, and I could say, create me some Mermaid code for a pie chart for quiz products. And I can say forms 40%, DBP 30%, and let's say CMS 365 30%. So it gives me some Mermaid code for that. I can copy it. Now I can go ahead I can add in a Mermaid pie chart, click on it, grab that stuff that it got me, and now I have a quiz product distribution pie chart, and this can be easily edited. So anytime I go back into this, I can just click edit, and I can change some of this stuff. And now it's been changed. So we use Gantt charts for this. Like I said as well, actually products group, here's a product release schedule that we use for products group. Here's a developer schedule where we're determining what developers are currently working on. It's super easy for us to keep that updated. Let's jump back in here and let's look at embedding an Office document. So here, let me get rid of my Copilot. So let's embed an Office document. So let's do it as actually, we can do it as a file on this site. Now, these are all the files that have been uploaded in this site. I can actually go ahead and access different sites. So I can jump over to a different CMS site and grab an Office document from there. Let's choose this Office document. Let's select, and now that Office document has been embedded in my CMS site. I have control over how it's portrayed. I can have it full height. I can change it into different portrait modes, and that's just embedding of an Office document. You can embed loop components. You can embed PDFs, all sorts of stuff. You can embed, as you can see up top, you can embed YouTube videos. You can embed Microsoft Stream videos. We are also on a roadmap working on embedding some further quiz products. So that'll be a really exciting addition, being able to embed, for instance, a form to be able to grab data. Another really good feature is the ability to have an intelligent paste. So that's especially important for things like Microsoft Word. So you can go and select content from Microsoft Word, paste it in, and it takes away all of the crud that exists in a Word document and keeps all of the formatting. So we intelligently paste from Microsoft Word. You can also grab graphics off of the internet, off of within a document, and we will handle uploading that graphic into the SharePoint file system. So let me just grab an image off screen. I hit Control V as paste, and now I've just pasted an image. So now this isn't pasted as what's called a code blob. When you paste an image in a lot of online documentation platforms, it's pasted as a blob. We'll actually place this as a true image, and it's uploaded into the SharePoint file site as a pasted image. So I can go ahead here, I can click on it, I can quickly adjust the size. I've got some ability to add a title for accessibility, some alternate text for accessibility. I can go ahead and also change what is being put in here. See, here I have a folder for all the pasted content that's been put in. So that's showing intelligent pasting of information. Now, I've already showed you a bunch of the use cases. We've looked at some internal wikis that we use, like the go-to-market site. I showed you the products group site, and we have an R&D site, which I also showed you, where we go through and our developers will share documentation throughout the development process. CMS 365 can also be used to provide access to SharePoint content for anonymous users using a feature called public sites. Let's go ahead and look at that. So actually, I'm going to jump over to our quizcom.com website, and we'll go down to our documentation section over there. And this is right now showing our product documentation for CMS 365 in a public view. Now it has less capability. I can't go ahead and edit this content here. It is just in view mode because it doesn't know who the actual user is. This is being used as an anonymous user. And what's important to understand here is we don't have to deal with any sort of file synchronization or anything like that. We don't have to worry about extra storage. This is actually viewing the SharePoint documents that are sitting in your SharePoint file library. What we have created is an encrypted tunnel into that SharePoint content, and it will only retrieve the information that it is authorized to retrieve, and it will show that in a read-only format. And it does that one document at a time. So as I go through this site, it goes in and retrieves that information from SharePoint and goes and grabs that markdown text file, it transforms it, and it displays it on the internet. So there is no such thing as synchronization because you are actually viewing the actual SharePoint site for CMS 365. And I can go ahead and look at any of this stuff. So here's how I actually go ahead and use that stuff. So here I'm into, you can now see this is in our tenant now. We're at quizcomsharepoint.com. So I'm in that same view, but now I've got access to actually do things with it. So I can go and jump into the dashboard. Here's the dashboard that manages a CMS 365 site. I can look at the publish area, and this will actually show that the site is published. And we automatically generate a cms365.site URL, and we give you a prefix for that that depends on what you've named your core site. So you don't have to worry about this. If you're just doing this for your own documentation that you want to share to other users, let's say you want to share this to partners or to customers or whatever, you can just use what we have. We will help you put your own vanity URL that is attached to this. That's what we've done with docs.quizcom.com, which points to this URL. So that can all be managed and we can help you with that. That is an extra charge. I also wanted to take a look at some of the advanced features that are available. Let's go back into our dashboard. So in our dashboard, you also see Links Manager and Links Mapping. What Links Manager is, this helps you keep your documentation fresh, and it helps keep all the links between documents. Those are internal links or links to other CMS 365 resources or links to external sites. It helps keep that all fresh. So I had click on Links Manager, and it'll actually go ahead. Now there's a lot of documentation here, so it'll take a couple of seconds, but it is going through every single page within the Quiz Docs documentation site, and it is checking all of the internal links, and it is finding out different warnings. It is looking at external links as well. And as soon as this is finished, it'll finish in a couple more seconds. It does have the ability, if there are internal links to other CMS 365 content, it can go ahead. Oh, we've actually gone ahead and fixed all this. A couple of days ago, there was internal links, and you can actually fix those yourselves just by clicking on Fix This Link, and it will go ahead and find the right content and automatically fix it. On the external link, actually, our customer success team is doing a real good job at this because they have verified a lot of these. You see all of these links with a check mark have been verified as being checked. So here's one that hasn't been verified. Let's go ahead and take a look, scan down. So these are either going to external resources outside of a CMS 365 site. So I can go ahead and look at that. I can pop this into a new window, so actually verify that this is working. Okay, that is working. And this is a code-related thing, so that actually is working. So I could click ahead and verify. And it'll also tell me what pages that link is showing up on. And I can click and verify that. And now it's gone ahead and verified that. And so this will, in about 3 months' time, I think that's where it's been set. We're going to give you the ability to actually change that. But in 3 months' time, it will undo the verification and have you check those verifications again. We'll also take a look back to the dashboard and we'll look at links mapping. Links mapping allows you to create clean URLs that map to other functions. This is good in case you actually haven't created the documentation or you want to have a shareable URL to that documentation that is a lot cleaner. I actually went and created a redirect that went to an external resource so that people can download CMS 365, a free trial, by going docs.quizcom.com/download CMS 365. Let's go ahead and look at that link map. So here I created a nice simple URL map that goes to a custom URL as its target. And here I put the app source link, because this isn't a nice friendly thing to share. I went and created an app source link. So now when I go ahead and go this, I go to docs.quizcom.com/download CMS 365, click, and it moves right to our Microsoft App Source listing. So now that's a much easier URL to share with users. Nice and clean. I just wanted to outline some of the exciting things that we're working on currently in terms of new features on the horizon. You did see the different kind of page variables. When we were looking at page layouts, you saw different page variables that stood for components within a page or users or the title of a page, those types of things. We are going to give the ability to create custom page variables. So you can have a page variable that stands for something within your own business, and then you just put that variable name and it'll be dynamically inserted with whatever's managed with that. Also draft mode support, so that you can create content, put it into draft mode, and then have a content approval workflow to be able to approve that content before it gets published for internal or external use. And we're also working on translation support for global use. So we definitely encourage people to download our free trial, put it on your tenant, start using it and playing with it. It's quite a generous free trial, so go ahead and use it. That can be extended as well just by contacting sales. Let me go ahead and just jump over into a summary of content. So we looked at some of the challenges that are faced in the hybrid work era, such as communication gaps and documentation accessibility issues. We showed how CMS addresses these challenges through seamless integration, robust feature sets, and enterprise-level benefits. We demonstrated a bunch of core features that contribute to that, the seamless integration of CMS 365 with Teams and SharePoint. We looked at some advanced features like page layouts, reusable content, in-place search, version control, links management. We explored the simplified and feature-rich editing capabilities, and we didn't look at content importing, but we do have the ability to import content from other CMS 365 sites, from our Wiki Plus product. We also have the ability to import content from the actual disbanded Teams wiki. So if you had previous Teams wikis set up, we can actually go ahead and detect that content. That content right now is hidden because Microsoft stopped the Teams wiki, but guess what? That content is still in your SharePoint system. So you can actually run, if you've had a team for a little while, you can go ahead and run a content import and detect the Teams wiki content and have it imported into a new CMS 365 site, and you can recover that Teams wiki content. And then we also showed you public sites. Again, I definitely recommend you to download the free trial at docs.quizcom.com/download CMS 365. That'll take you to the app source. You can either request a tenant admin to install that. It does need a tenant admin to install. Or if you have those rights, you can go ahead and install that SharePoint app and have it available within your company's Teams apps. We've come to the end of our presentation, so I'd like to thank you all for experiencing the presentation. Sarah is definitely available for content from a sales context. And again, encourage you to check out that free trial.